You get the book with it.
This is being made, right? And then this is yeah. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I can't do it at all. I think it's just
This is hand drawn though.
You showed it.
He said that I did it.
We got extra. Bill, how y'all? Was he okay today? She's in there.
Put 2 house lots up there. It's got, 6 acres. This street is 3.6 acres. Minus 200 cemetery.
I'll order the County Newport Planning Commission, July 7th, 2025. If everybody would stand, Vice Mayor Rath, give you an invitation, remain standing while I get the pledge.
Everybody, this hour, our gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you with a grateful, thankful heart for who you are, recognizing that you are the creator of all things, and Lord, that everything is in your hands, and we ask you for divine protection over our town, look over it, Lord, help us to go economically in the ways that we should, the right way, help us make the right decisions on this board, for what, for the citizens' needs, and let us evaluate everything, and let us do everything that's pleasing to you. Yes, this is your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got roll call.
Kevin McIntyre, Mayor.
Here.
Bill Nuss.
Here.
David Pullman.
Here.
Andy Landers, absent. Todd Hobson is absent. Charles Day.
Here.
Wanda Radford.
Here.
Has everybody had a moment to look over the June 2nd, 2025 minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Got a motion and a second.
Kevin McIntyre,
Yes.
Bill Nuss.
Yes.
David Pullman,
Yes.
Charles Day,
Yes.
Wanda Radford, secretary.
Yes.
Got any old business?
No old business at this time.
Okay. Under new business, got a discussion of Sunny Lane Division. Frank, Mr. Ray, if you'd like to tell us what you've got in mind. You want-
I got 3.4 acres on Sunny
Lane.
If you want to step right up here, Frank, we can hear you good.
I have 3.4 acres on Sunny Lane. It's right on the Unicoi Carter County Power District line. And I want to put 2 houses in there versus 1. It's only zoned for 1.
Are you gonna cut this down into 2 lots, ain't
Yes,
you? Okay.
Yes, I would, if you can see, if you've seen the property, it's 3 hills, has a cemetery on it, and Kitchen Haynes, historic. Said you can take it in your graves. But yes, my plan is to put 1 house on the very top of the property
Okay.
and 1 towards the bottom of the property. And the cemetery is sort of in the middle of the property.
And you'll give a variance for the cemetery on it.
It is written that they have.
They have a
access
variance.
to it.
Okay.
Yes. I searched today for the actual right away to that, and the courthouse did not find it yet.
It's probably in Washington County's courthouse.
My wife and I have found where it's written that they just have a right of way. It's not, I don't even know if it is marked.
Okay.
Usually those right of ways aren't, they'll just be in like your deed or something. Usually they're not marked as like a public right of way.
Could not find it. Could not find it. But it does say that they have access.
Back then, that was part of Washington County or Carter. So there's no
Yeah.
telling where it's at.
Yeah, well, like I said, usually there's not a public access going to these, it'll just be in whoever's deed that owns the property. It's like an easement essentially.
Well, whenever you said you're just gonna put the property up there, then the next, how does the driveways work on that?
Well, my plan, when you come in my entrance, off of the very end of Sunny Lane, my entrance, off the very end. I'm gonna come in, that's the only place I can access my property. And I'm gonna go towards the interstate, there's it's an interstate fence, which is the very lowest of the property, everything else is higher. And that would be the road with the driveways coming off of that.
You're gonna have what, 2 driveways? Or you'd have to have one to go to one house, and
Yes.
does the one connect to it, or is it separated out?
It'll be 1 road with 2 driveways off of it.
The issue that he's running into here is road frontage, and this is just my rough estimates, this is not, exact. He only has about 25 feet of frontage. We require 40 per lot, so that's well below standard, the way it's written currently. The option that he has to do this is put in a town road essentially, and then give it to the town. If the town decides to accept it, that would be public road frontage at that point. But unless you want to grant a variance for road frontage, for both of these properties, I don't see a way of putting 2 homes on that.
Even though it's a hardship crop, like he says, he's against the interstate, there's no other entrance that he can come in, so those people have to come in and out of that one.
That's not, so this would be owner created at that point, so that's not a hardship.
Well, we can grant variance for that.
You can
It
grant it.
has like 3.6 acres. And we'll build a couple of houses on it, I don't see an issue with that's what.
The only issue you're gonna run into is the precedent that you set, and that's essentially you're allowing 12.5 foot of road frontage, down from 40.
You make the road in there a little bit wider for it.
It's not how wide the road is gonna be getting in, it's how much public frontage he's gonna have.
I do not have no frontage, just what, the 25 or so feet. But once you enter my property, it's not, but like
I've been up there.
40 or 50 feet, and then I can give all I need to give.
It kind of snakes its way in there, right?
Yes, it's small and for 40 or 50 feet. Off of Sunny Lane, it is what it is. And the corners, I've had it surveyed, it's marked. And it pulls off of Sunny Lane. I think it's right around 25, but they.
That's just pure rough estimate.
Right.
That's just me measuring on a map.
Right, well, me measuring, it's a little bit better than that, and then after that, it widens, like after 40 feet, it might take, then it's clean. It's basically not very far narrow, but it is, there is other properties on both sides of it, actually not. That's all I got, is what's my entrance.
But you got room to put 125-foot road in.
Yes, I mean.
And then when you get into that property, you can do,
Exactly.
you can do another driveway, you can do one house and then a driveway off of that existing road.
Once I got off of that, out of the small part, I can go with 2 roads or whatever I need
If he puts in one county, or, excuse me, city standard road and the city decides to accept it, he's not limited to 2 homes at that point, if he builds in enough frontage. You have enough acreage to do 4 or 5.
But if they put the stick, and two's all that you have, that's all you're ever going to build, correct?
to. That's all I wanted, yes.
If they put it in as a stipulation, only the 2 homes can be built.
That's not necessarily a stipulation we can put in, because this would be for a subdivision.
Yeah, you were actually wanting more homes now, but you're satisfied with 2.
Exactly.
So you're trying to work with us if we can work with you.
Yes, I would.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I find it a waste of property if I don't do, if I have one, my plan is for a rancher style 3-bedroom, pretty normal house, not, maybe a basement or something, but nothing elaborate. It's, the property lays on a hill, it would be hard to take care of, for one house and that much property for these more homes.
And that's what you've always done, build homes.
I would-
Okay. So, I mean, you're,
And that's, I'm sorry, I didn't.
no, go ahead.
If you want to put in a road, it's not really cheap, that's, to build a city standard road, but you can do more than 2 at that point, just depending how long you make the road.
Right, and I know that, a city standard road would probably be worth what I had in, I don't know if the property would be worth the road.
Yeah, it's gonna be
The
expensive.
road would be crazy, even though it wouldn't be 50 feet.
Well, we do case by case, we go by case, and I don't see a problem with granting this on the contingents that you get it separated out into 2 lots, and you have to come back and get a variance from,
There's not, he shouldn't get a variance, because this would be owner created, and that would be an illegal variance. This would be a special exception to the subdivision, regulations. That does set precedent at that point.
where's his?
Either you set the precedent that you are okay with smaller frontage limits, or you're okay with dividing off of private easements. Either one, I'm not sure is a great idea.
But we can do it.
You can do it, it's just, be cautious to do it. Maybe Todd, you have anything to add on that?
No, I mean, I agree with Corey, and we've got 2 different plans here, so, one's dividing a lot up, one's not. I've not looked at it much. I saw this today, so.
I will say, even the county doesn't allow for division off of private roads. nor do they really stray away from that public frontage, standard. But ultimately, the decision is just be cautious of the precedent you've set for things coming down the line.
Well, I tell you what, if there's ever a hardship, this is one of them. I mean, because you got a piece of property there with limited space at the entrance. I mean, that's not your fault.
It's a great piece of property, other than the entrance.
You know,
The entrance is not terrible to me, it's not gonna bother Nolan, I don't think, the way it is. It's gonna be accessible, and like I say, once I get off of Sunny Lane, I can do it.
You're not going that far to get off Sunny Lane, 30, 40 feet.
Right, exactly.
So as it stands currently, the pre-existing lot does not have a hardship. He's essentially creating the hardship with this, and like I said, it would be an illegal variance at that point. So, you don't want to grant a variance, you want to grant a special exception if you grant anything.
I'll make a motion to grant a special.
What is there, let me ask one more question. Have you talked with utilities? Is utilities gonna be easy as far as getting power, or how will that come in? Or
I have, not officially, but I have a friend that puts the power company,
Yeah,
and I've had him look at it.
I mean, we'll go down that road, or how will we get utilities?
We're right
There
there.
is two
Poles.
poles on that, one on both ends of that property that could be, and then, again, it is Elizabethton Power,
I know how they are too.
but I, and,
I mean, I'd rather you talk, now I'm serious, because they're a different animal.
So this is,
exactly, I have a call, and they actually need to raise a power line for me.
Which is absolutely, I mean, I don't understand why we have Elizabeth in Unity County, but I've dealt with that for 40 years.
The power person that I talked to was from Irvine, and did not have, he was just saying, yes, you can get power there, and yes, you can get power. On both ends of the property, it could be fairly easy power.
But getting them to work it out, because
Well, no, yes.
I have a pole here and a pole there, 10 feet apart, and we can't get our own power, so.
I know.
I mean, it drives me nuts.
I did that all the time, man, that's everywhere I do.
Emergency vehicles wouldn't be a problem, we check with the fire, I mean, I would just feel more comfortable if we crossed all those, checked all those boxes to
So-
make sure, so.
so what I would suggest, this is just on the agenda for discussion. So it would be best if we don't make a motion, and take an action on this at this point, but if everybody is essentially okay with this in discussion, we can have them bring a subdivision plat back before us and make sure all the boxes are signed off on at that point.
That was one of the things that we had talked about. He didn't go out here and get it divided out and then come to us, we say, oh, no, you can't do that.
Well, that's what this discussion is
Yeah.
for. So
So,
we don't need to take action on it currently, but we can hash it out within discussion. That makes sense.
For example, the road frontage, we're not exactly sure how much road frontage he actually has. So that, I mean, when they come back in, it's 32 feet, which might make a difference versus 25. But I was thinking, from the legal standpoint, we need more information.
so you're saying get it divided out and then come back to us with plat?
I would say come back to us with a plat and then, if the board kind of discusses it here and feels okay with it, maybe that's enough assurance for you to go ahead with it. But,
You talk plat, it's not divided out.
But it's not, they're not going to pay to have it divided out.
yeah, you'll need a subdivision plat with more information.
Get it, you have to have it divided out, just
So
as
there's
here,
three-
you have to have it divided out in two separate lots.
And how the road will be and, where the plot will come up to the road or including in that acreage or whatever. I just think for your safety and headaches, it would be at least,
That's gonna change, other than putting a line through it, but basically,
Yeah.
the road. I'm blocked on the road, I see no option to change other than, I just had it surveyed and the pegs are there, and I'm gonna use all that for the entrance, and I don't see where I can do no more there.
I guess the point of discussion we need to talk about too is if you would rather split the road frontage and what he does have, or allow off that private, easement.
I have talked to Mr. Treadway, and he says, yeah, you know, if I want to, he'll do, he just done the survey for me, and he said, yes, I told him my plan, and he said, yes, that he would
Okay.
do the work for
Subdivide.
subdivision, yes.
That will give you a 911 address.
And we'll give them nine.
Yeah, yeah.
Would the second house have road frontage to the public road that we're creating?
Well, see, that would be the issue, is if you want to allow them to divide off of the private easement, then the second house would not have public frontage, or divide off of what public frontage he does have, and it would have public frontage, just not our standard of public frontage.
Let me understand this. This man owns 3+ acres.
Mhm.
And he pays taxes on
Mhm.
it. And he wants to build 2 houses on it, and because the road's not 80 foot across the front, we can't let him build 2 houses.
That's essentially what subdivision regulations do. Because you run the potential of creating something that the city could be liable for, AKA if a fire truck can't get to it, or something of that nature. That's what they're essentially doing.
But if he gets the plat, and he gets assigned those numbers, address number, they will verify that it's accessible for fire.
All that says is, it has an address, it has a 911 address, that does not verify.
You can drive a car and
Yes, not, yes, it's gonna be.
it's not, it's very easy to get into.
Well, and that's kind of outside the regard of what we're discussing right now. It's just the point of the plat and how essentially you want him to have the plat drawn up. Do you want to allow off a private easement, or do you want to split the road frontage? Because either way, you're setting a precedent of what you're.
What precedence do we set if we don't let him do?
You don't
People not to come to Unicorn County bill because they can't get the proper amount of, based upon the subdivision rules.
No, you're just setting what the standard that everybody else follows.
That's a negative precedent.
See what he's saying? Just that it's, I
You want to split
mean,
it, would you
I know what
split
you're
that?
thinking, and
I think that land be couple of two, but
I would
the road
split
up
it,
to 35
yes,
foot
that
wide.
was my intention.
Okay.
well, I ain't worried about that as much as I am just
Explain that.
worried about that happening, that's all.
Split up the road frontage for you.
So,
No
you,
back.
like,
I buy a
we'll just say
house
30 feet, that you have
If
30
he's
feet of
protected with
frontage.
the road that he can get.
If you have Mr. Treadway draw it up, he would draw up a flag lot and a normal lot. Each lot then would have 15 feet of frontage. So you would just split what you currently have. That's one way of doing it. Or you can just draw a straight line down the middle of the property and, like, have a private easement in your deed to that second house. That's your 2 options if the board wants to allow either of those.
I understand that, I guess it's basically some of the property owners that it's saying I sold the houses, that is theirs, not mine, or not one or the other.
Yeah, like you would have to get that drawn up in both deeds, once you get to that point before you sell it. You would have, if you just drew a line straight down the middle of it, it would have to be in both deeds that, right away, would need to be in both deeds, so they're aware of what they're buying. Whereas if you split the frontage and brought 2 driveways in and kept them on separate lots, you wouldn't necessarily have to do
That's what part right there is this all the way through the property.
Yeah.
Both driveways entering that road.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to do that than anything on that property.
And then but that way, each person maintains their own driveway, they don't get involved with somebody else, and they don't want to, you know, they got the same one, so that way they got their own driveway.
Yes, ma'am, I thought that that would be the way to word that when you did come in the property.
Each one's
The first law would maintain, I mean, you would have to split the maintain of
The main one.
that. You would need a maintenance agreement drawn up in the deeds at that point.
yes. It would be, your driveway would be your driveway, but the road would be ours.
He's wanting to come back before the planning commission again.
With a flag.
Then they walk
Well, if he
off.
just does that, brings that back to us with all that done, I think that would be sufficient to be able to really get a picture and handle that everything's been checked and we can move on. I make a motion, we can ask him
This
to do
is
that.
just discussion. That's it.
Oh,
We don't
okay.
need to take action.
That sounds right.
So,
We all in agreement on this?
Seems to be our discussion.
I know I have to do all my two trucks, I have to start doing something in the other.
I'm open.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And we get the plat drawn up. Go for it.
is this just a drawing, or is this a legal document I need, or?
So Mr. Treadway will know, this will be a legal document that you'll have to record at the courthouse. It'll need to be signed off, by us first. Then you take it.
So if I do
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
then
that
I
is
can
so
definitely
right.
put
He's
it
got this survey, you know.
You already got this survey.
No, I'm talking about the subdivision.
That's just the regular land. This is what they have to divide it up.
Does it really matter where he splits the two lots up? I mean, all he's asking is a road in, I mean, I don't think it'd make any difference. Now, Bill had a good point there about the utilities, you know, that sort of thing, but really, if he's got a line across that survey right there, you're still gonna have the driveway, the road coming in the same place. You're gonna go off to one house, you're gonna go through that lot, into the next lot, and build another house. I mean, I know, like Bill said, you know, you're concerned a little bit about the utilities and that sort of thing, and that's really up to you.
right.
You know, you build houses all your life, and I don't see as to where that line across that survey is gonna make a difference.
It makes a difference for the planning commission of what precedent is set.
I mean, to me, other than, if you went high with the road, to me, the road needs to be right there, along the interstate, along that, the interstate fence. You can't really do nothing else with that property, and it is low, and they already have, you know, it's like, it's right there for, it's where all the water, all of everything, you know, it travels right down along that. There's really no, if you went high, it would be
Big steep, it would be big.
cutting in ditches and moving water, I think.
I've been out there, yeah, you would, you create a lot of water flow off there if you went high with that road.
It basically needs to go off that fence, and it'll make a good road, because it does
You
have.
have drainage issues if you went high with that road. I mean, you
That will, it'll, that's, is where it needs to go, and as far as splitting the property, if two is it, and it is 3.6, my intentions will be right around that ratio. I mean, one or the other, it's gonna be pretty much each lot will be close as I can make it the same. As far as in the middle or where it's at.
So what are we up against? Tabling this till next month? I mean,
This is just discussion. We're just discussing this at this point. There's no action item, there's no table. This is just discussion, and he comes back with whatever.
Bring it to the board and give us information.
Get your plat, get that cut out and bring it back to us. Okay, I see you made those and you should.
I know that, I have, Mr. Treadway is very busy.
I know you.
Look on the road speed.
He will call me back, but I don't know. I'll have to see his schedule is. But I'll definitely be in asking for, to get it.
You get hold of it. Get that cut out like that, and then by.
How long would I have before the next meeting?
It'll be next month. We have them monthly.
What is the first Monday of it?
First Monday.
Unless a holiday falls on it.
All right.
I would try to, if you could finagle something, the only finagling I would try is try to get early utility. If
I
you
don't
could,
know how to do that. I don't understand.
Well,
why that is.
I mean, if they have a pole close by, maybe, I don't know why that's their jurisdiction in Elizabeth, that if you have another, like, it doesn't rhyme or reason, because the house across the street has Irwin and I have our Elizabeth and we're on the same, Daggone road. So there's no rhyme or reason, but you better go get it checked, because I am telling you from experience, that might be your issue, because they are, it's not a fun ball.
So I need to have a list that powers.
Well, you could avoid it, but I don't know how you can avoid it. I don't know where, I'll have to,
They're gonna have to sign off on the plat saying that electricity would be available to both lots. So maybe that's a hurdle you cross before you bring the plat.
I would definitely try to. End up ripping up about 200 feet wire to meet the Elizabeth code versus Bartle. So, there's that much, because at that time, that much difference. So that's just experience. I would talk to them very sincerely and tell what you're trying to
Definitely.
Yeah. That's my own suggestion to you.
I appreciate it.
If you could get Irwin, baby, do it.
Well, I've already asked that. And it's long. I don't know, you know, it's like, Erwin,
Maybe we can join forces and go talk to the legislators.
I asked Erwin, they say it's.
I think so, you all it is, it's not a big copy of it.
Oh, I know, I don't
No,
know.
listen to that, then when I call him. I need to be raised.
I don't know when that Civil War was, but we didn't win it.
They give me numbers of several other people to call for messing with them.
Little word to the wise.
I will be.
Time.
Trying to ask for, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Okay, next thing on the, under new business is discussion action on data center ordinance. Got any discussion?
So if you all have seen this, this is adding a definition to the zoning ordinance on what a data center is, as well as adding this to a use in M1. Currently, we do not have an M1 zone, so that adds in protection for the town for this to even happen. This is a coming issue that you really need to take action on as soon as possible, if you all want to take action on it.
But in case Mountain City doesn't get theirs, in case Mountain City's plan falls through.
That's not even the crux of it. It
Oh,
don't
okay.
matter about them if they're getting it or not. It could be elsewhere.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
We have a citizen sitting here that has a lot of information, so I don't know if he wants to speak about it or not. He knows more about the imminency of it happening, more so than.
You want to
everybody
speak?
else does.
Huh?
Bottom line, we don't want the pollution, we don't want the noise. Noise can be as high as 100 decibels. I mean, my dogs can hear a pin drop in the driveway. Can you imagine what that loud sound? And it's constant, 24 hours. Not to mention an ugly facility that is enclosed with a big wall and fence that constantly makes this noise 24/7. There's no one that works there, so there's no value to us as far as having employment. There's just literally no value to us in this community whatsoever, anywhere in the whole town as far as.
Really, the only value that it holds is to the other.
Right, and they tend to make a lot of money, for sure.
Will you speak to the imminency that you know that one's coming to you in Cook County that you brought up to me and Wanda there?
Yeah, they, one of the utility employees that everyone know actually confided in me, that they were seriously considering it, they were as far as almost not considered. And one part of the Harvard University study, and everything else to go with it. And, may have it tuned down just a little bit, I don't know. But, once I realized the possibility for this county period, and under their electric power, of course, I did, my daughter, and I immediately went to that and started bombarding him with that. And, it will just be, I mean, our Valley View will be Valley View, absolutely no question. We have a lot of change signs.
Is what they're saying is with this new technology, they can keep the noise down. I have not seen that with my own personal line.
I've seen it anywhere.
So I can't speak for that, but that's just what the company is telling me.
My name's Rebecca Cummings, I live in Coy. And I would like to speak to this issue. I did a little bit of research after I learned more about this, the facility that they're talking about possibly moving up here to Duquesne's farm. It's in Washington County. And that I was just stunned that the power agreement they have with, is it Brightridge? Up there is to provide over 25 megawatts of power, which is more power than urban utilities provides to all their customers, industrial and commercial. So this would more than double the power that is set through. And it's very difficult for me to conceive that will not raise our rates. They're going to have to build like a substation right next to it. They're going to supply power to it like that. And the heat that these things provide, I don't know this, but I'd be very concerned because we're in a very narrow valley. And if you have this box, which is basically what this thing will be, in our valley that's spewing out that much heat, because if you're burning 25 megawatts of power, you're turning it into heat. And that heat is going to, what is it going to do? Will it create a microclimate in our valley, a circulation of air that is just unpredictable? I mean, this is the place up in Washington County will be at a foot Buffalo Mountain. And that hot air is probably just going to wash up Buffalo Mountain. And what will that do? Will it desiccate the trees on that mountain because the temperature will be so much higher than they're used to? Will that create additional fire risk? The last thing we need in our county is forest fire risk. But as this gentleman has mentioned, the noise is I mean, I live in the woods, and the cicadas back in the day, they were pretty mind-numbing. We wake up in the morning and they start making the noise, and they get louder and louder. By the middle of the afternoon, they are cooking. But then in the evening, they quieted down, and you can sleep at night. But this thing, I mean, my husband has a decibel meter, so he got his decibel meter. I was measuring the decibels at 75 decibels, which is pretty crazy loud. But it did quiet up at night. But these things, these facilities can be louder than that. They're constantly at that noise. They don't quiet down at night, they don't quiet in the morning, they don't quiet in the evening. There's just this constant whining noise that we would be subject to in our reality. I would strongly encourage you to put it in, to regulate it to some kind of industrial zone or something like Washington County is talking about. and then put noise restrictions on these facilities, on those manufacturing and industrial zones, so that they can't constantly disrupt the neighborhood. That's
The only thing I'll add to that is 25 is low. The Mountain City site is 30 megawatts. That's a lot of that.
If I can add something on that, just to build on those, if y'all remember, the winter before last, there was like 3 rolling blackouts in the middle of the night, they didn't have enough power. And, somebody that uses a CPAP and needs metal equipment at night, that is a huge concern for me, that we're not gonna have enough power, because apparently we haven't had enough power.
Would.
And I would just add, that the Johnson City is potentially going to get this at Buffalo Mountain, that every citizen in Buffalo County join the Johnson City to resist this. Because it's only 10-minute drive. And we're gonna hear this noise. And if they are successful in keeping it out of Johnson City, well, we definitely are the next target, if not Cooper, but we're really close by.
I
So,
thought they had, are they still looking at putting cut off Buffalo Road?
Johnson City has issued a moratorium on these types of developments. So I can't speak if they're still looking at it or not. It's not gonna happen anytime soon, if they do.
well, I will say that it's in the, and I did attend one of their commission meetings, they have placed a 12-month moratorium on I-2 development, which is what this basement would fall into. And they are looking at developing, rezoning restrictions, reinforced, and also to do impact studies. They promised that to the community. They're going to do environmental impact studies, noise pollution, before they give or consider giving them. But Mountain City, in fact, 98%, I think, of the community at large opposes this. They still love it, do it. And it means 12 jobs. That's it. 12 jobs, 50 acres. And right in the middle of a rural, peaceful community. And it's gonna be like you're on a runway where the jets never stop, the community's never stop. Oh, the one here, now, it's right near, it's right next to the VFW. VFW is sitting there, and to the wall next to them, because, and it's only a 7-acre site. So they're gonna cram all this stuff on 7 acres.
The thing that's happened in Mountain City is they essentially got caught off guard, and there's nothing in the regulations to pertain to this. That's why we need to act on it immediately.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. I did.
Kevin McIntyre for mayor.
Yeah, I think we should move.
Bill Ennis,
Yes.
David Wolfman,
Yes.
Neil Harris absent, Paul absent, Charles Day,
Yes.
Wanda Radford, secretary.
Yes.
Any other business? Any announcements?
Have we heard from the county on our right of way,
On what, Bill?
on the right of way? Our hay fields,
What are you talking about, Bill?
that grass that's 20 feet high?
The mowing?
Mowing.
Yeah, we need to get the marbles and
God.
get it mowed.
Please.
Yeah.
Hey,
Made a motion to pass this to the BMA, so they're gonna have a special call meeting after the BCA. There's gonna be a special call meeting to pass to read the first reading of the ordinance they just moved there.
Yeah.
There'll be more details about it too.
Will you just put it pass with us?
Well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you know, an expert on this, but I think the state says if a zoning code is silent on something, you cannot permit it. So it's very critical that we have a zoning code that covers them and not just the fire.
That's what we're doing right now, man.
Will you be restricting activities in the M1 zone?
We'll talk more about it at the special call. There's a couple of other items that people have been waiting on a little bit forever on that. So after the Board of Zoning Appeals, there'll be something more specific to what you should ask. We won't silly waste time here.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Opportunity for citizens to speak, not on the agenda. Everybody has. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Who's seconding that? Who's seconding?
so, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Kevin McIntyre, Mayor.
Yes.
Wanda Radford, Chair.
Yes.
Andy Leonard is absent. Charles Day.
Yes.
Wanda House Member Secretary.
Yes.
Okay, all right. On old business, we don't have any, and on new business, there's a discussion with Rachel Light, and she's here, so you care to come up to the podium? Will you raise your right hand for the affirmation of oath administration oath? Do you affirm to tell the truth and all the truth that you know before this board? Okay, and you say also who you live?
Without any question or?
No, where you actually reside. Okay, thank you. All right, this is a discussion action of variance for front setbacks for property located at tax map 008, parcel 069.01 for Rachel Light. And you've been before the board before, and you want to go ahead and iterate, or you want Corey to?
Yes, sure.
To show us.
Okay, so my property is this shape right here. This is when you drive in, and these are holes in question. That's the first. The house, which is the diagram, is right when you drive up. It'll be between the poles. One is easy, one is not. The water is being used to do it. This is what it looks like on the property, and I have sticks here where the unit is going. This I treated as what it looked like coming down the road. That's, you can see, right up. So you're coming down the hill right here. And that's where you come in, and this is where the house is. The pole right here is to be dropped and moved to the front so that the neighbor's line can be run out on the street, which clears this for the unit to go right there in that space. The reason I'm here is because it's between 30 and 60 feet. 30 up to the easement, and then another 30 is what he's telling me, and I need that space to put the unit. This is the unit. And this is a diagram of the building company, and their agreement to the poles has been signed off on. This is going on for
How
property.
many square footage does this pertain to? 1,053 square feet.
Is that double wide?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Just the shortest.
It's the smallest.
Yeah.
There's a guy wire, about the same color as the utility pole right here. They can lift that if they need the clearance and put it in the hill, but the septic has to be reserved. The hill has to be reserved for the septic. There's really no other place to do anything but right there unless there's a site-built house. And even so, the hill is where the septic goes. So, yeah, I have diagrams of what because it's already been drawn out and permitted once before. But she has it run by pump from a Q2, hill that's loaded with dirt.
Up in here, between septic,
Right in here, right here in this part of the hill. And so they're gonna place it, if they do the job, they're gonna probably place the tanks right here or on the other side. It would be ideal if I could get a variance from a 5 feet to 10 feet as one on this point, which is a little over here, but that is the property line. And then the 30 is where this pole comes up and basically runs straight, and I need to be between at that 30, and then we're gonna cut it over back and forth.
see that approved your
Yes.
site view
Yes.
and septic.
Yes, sir. It is based on their drawings that all that is going on.
And you're asking for a variance.
Let me see it.
The side,
The side,
Let me see it.
5 feet.
it's supposed to be 10 feet, and I need at least 5 of that. And then the, what did you call it, encroaching on the easement or?
On the property setback line.
What's that?
So he measured 30 feet, he came up and measured 30 feet from the center of the road. And then when you get up to about 30 feet, it pretty much runs the line that utility pole is on. And it is right there that the front of the house is. So he's saying that I can't have anything in the next 30 feet unless I do that.
How much variance was there, was required for the variance?
So that road is a 60-foot right of way, so it's 30 foot from center
I would recommend approving the variance for the front setback. She doesn't have a great lot, as we've been over before. A setback variance is an easy approval.
And how much is the, how much is that from setback for the?
More than 60 foot.
It's 6 foot wide, so it's 30 foot
So we're
setback.
asking, she's asking for 30-foot
Just
variance.
getting, trying to get closer to the actual right of way. How much closer are you trying to get to the right of way?
I mean, it's 20, it's classified as 28 feet, but he thinks it's 26 something, so I mean, it's pretty much going to be at that line. To the point where I may even take that fence down so that it seems real natural for everyone else, you know, and not all blocking that. But I don't really know that until I get there. So basically, at 30 feet, I'd like to be the right to use.
On the front.
Yeah, as long as I don't get in the line of the pole or the electric line, I'd like to use that drive to create the landscape in the house.
So Mark will start at 15 feet from the center line. How far are you gonna be off of that? Approximately. With the 28 feet.
So it goes up and over right there.
60.
It's 60, starting from
60,
there.
Marbles and 60 on the center.
30 on the
So
center.
on the
So
center
Mark
of the
was
road.
60 foot right away. Okay, I thought it was 30.
I'm gonna be 30 feet on the center.
30 each way.
Is that including the utility easement?
Usually the utility is
And you want to ask-
supposedly in the right of way. It's not always in the right of way.
I'd like to get closer on the right side.
So you asking for
On
the
what?
front setback at 30 feet and on the side you
Yeah.
want 5 feet.
I want to leave 5 feet. If I could get closer, I wouldn't think it's that changes the vibe of it having a porch, which I really like.
But usually whenever we do that, we do expect, don't we do exactly like, it's the 5 foot, just saying, you know,
So you can be 5 foot off the property line. Is that what you're saying, or?
he said on more, so we didn't say how much more, so.
Well, it's an empty kind of ditch lot right there that doesn't have anything in it. I actually keep it, I put the drainage in there. So it seems like it's my property, even though, you know, Margaret and I split right there. If I could get up to it, you know, that would be great, but if not, maybe I would be close to it, that I can get it would be really, really helpful. That way I don't have to cut into the hill on the other side, mess with the septic, move the guy wire, any of that. And that, preferred choice seems that that's the most ideal solution.
Yeah, what was good, so that we know when we voted on that specific amount, that way.
Do you need any letters?
So you're gonna be, from the center line over, you got 15 feet.
30.
It's a 60 foot drive. Mark was a 60 foot drive. So you got 30 feet already in the center. And then you want 5 feet off the property line.
That's the right side, except that, not the front, not that
It
one.
means she wants for the side, for the front, she wants 30 feet, right?
Well, it's the 30 feet, and then what was news to me is another 30 feet, which basically takes the whole middle of that half.
So that's why I'm saying we do the 30 feet because of that part, and that's on the front, then on the side, she said, since she needs probably at least the 5 foot variance on the side.
So it's essentially a variance of just waiving the front setbacks, just
Yeah.
building right on the
So
property
you,
line.
are you asking for a side variance?
Oh, I missed that 30
Side
foot.
variance as well?
I have a photo of it, maybe to see where they are. That helps at all, but it pretty much, like I said, this pole right here is on the 30 feet. That comes up the hill right here, and it comes down pretty much where I got that laid out. That's where 30 feet lies on that property. And you can see how close it we're going to get 20 feet in there without taking the septic area anymore. I'm going to be right up here at that. And I'm on the pole, but I'll be in here.
And you're going to, you see, you're going to move that, the pole is going to move down.
The electric company is going to move it to the front driveway.
And none of your neighbors have a problem with it, do you?
She signed up on it from the pole. No, she already signed it.
Margaret across the road, Margaret, what used to be called.
Because it's actually going to go on her property because it services her property, doesn't essentially. So that was the solution we came up with for $1,500. And that's the way it has to be, and we're going to use anything.
into the right of way, just into the setback.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not in the right of way, because she'll have a thirty.
Yeah, she don't have a lot to work with out there. You know, and she turned her down on a single wide, now she's with a double wide. Really where it's at. I don't think it's gonna make a whole lot of difference.
She really don't have much option either, if we're being honest. I mean, she's come through and asked for the single wide, we didn't do that. She's come back now and within our guidelines as much as she can with this lot. I recommend approval.
I'll make a motion to give her the front variance setback.
And 5 feet off the
And
side.
5 feet off the side there. Under the hardship clause.
Kevin McIntyre, Mayor,
Yes.
Wanda Radford, Chair,
Yes.
Wanda Andrews, absent, Charles Day,
Yes.
Allison Miller, Secretary.
Yes.
Okay, it's approved, all right.
Thank you, Ms. Lyon.
All right, next we've got, and I think Miss Teresa Davis said, they just said that she's going to be the one speaking, so if you'll come to the podium over there. And state your name and address.
Russ Davis, 139 Madison Drive.
Okay, will you raise your right hand? Do you firmly tell the truth and all the truth as you do it before this board?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Okay. And now, on this one, it's a discussion of variance for front setbacks for property located at tax map 005D, Group D, parcel 0003.00 to you, so.
Okay, I believe, so this is the one.
Is this lot 6, Teresa?
Is it lot 6?
I don't know, I've got two different ones here.
Yeah, I've got two variants.
Yeah.
The first one, the first one
This
is lot
the
6.
first one.
The first one's lot 6.
Lot 6. No, lot 6, not parcel 3.
I am requesting a hardship variance to build 20 foot from the curb of Mountain Laurel Court due to the extremely steep terrain. And it, right at the property line, it drops off at 7 foot from the curb. It drops. And it is
for front setback for property located at tax map 0052, rear 2, parcel 006.00. So that's,
This is for what I'm wanting to put, and that shows the drainage back of the house. And I don't know if you have a copy of that.
Oh, I've got it.
Okay, you got it, okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody else need? Okay.
Looks good, don't it?
so your setbacks on that one, what?
Well, what I'm asking is, we have a corner lot, and we're requesting a hardship variance to place a carport over a portion of our already existing driveway on the side of our house, which our house fronts Meadowstone Drive, and Mountain Laurel Court is to the left side. At the time we bought our lot, there was no Mountain Laurel Court. We were dropped from the subdivision actually in the 80s, and we built, providing our own driveway in to the side of that. And it's not possible to place a carport on the back side of the house due to the steep terrain on the back side of our house, a wet weather screen, and we have a French drain running parallel to the house. Our gas lines are on the back side of the house, and our electric comes in from the back side of the house. And in addition, Mount Laurel Court took the corner of our lot when it was put in. Our property pin is actually out in the road, creating a hardship to adhere to the side setbacks for corner lots as described in Article 5, number 503, which requires us to set back the carport 22.5 feet from the property line. And we're requesting a 2.5-foot variance to set back 20 feet from the property line in order for that carport to cover our cars and protect them from weather damage. The style of the carport is as pictured in there, and again, keeping with the style of our stone and cedar house. And it would look as if it was part of the house when we originally built the house. And so that's what we're looking at doing, is we're just requesting on that side setback a 2.5-foot variance on that one. And to put the carport on the side because we technically face Meadowstone Drive as our front, and we're probably 50 foot off of Meadowstone Drive. So I would appreciate if y'all consider granting us that variance.
I'm making a motion.
So, the side setback for that's only 15 feet. So if you're gonna be 22 feet or 20 feet off of that,
20 feet,
yeah, you don't need a variance for that.
even though it's a corner lot.
It's defined as a corner lot, but the side setback to that is only 15 feet.
So I can come out to within 20 foot of the property line with no issues, but when I actually get into constructing it,
You can come out to 15 foot from the
I
property.
can come out to 15 foot from the property line. So if you put that in writing that I am allowed to come out on the side within 15 foot of the
It'll
property
just,
line.
it'll just be in